Hello everyone, this is Wiseworth, and today I will be bringing to you 13 historic events that happened in February. On February 28, 1953, two Cambridge scientists, Watson and Crick, discovered that the formation of DNA was that of a double helix. This had perplexed the community for about 20 or so years, for they had known the importance of DNA, but they didn't know what it looked like or how it was replicated. It was actually these two men who figured it out. They discovered the double helix, or two long strands with base pairs connecting them, was actually twisted into a stair-like formation, now known as double helix. They also learned that there was an enzyme that separated the two strands and connected base pairs with the broken ends to create two daughter strands, and that is how DNA replicated. February 21st, 1848, a young philosopher named Marx published a pamphlet that, even though it was slow to take off, soon took the world by force. That was the Communist Manifesto. Even though, as stated, it was slow taking off, by the 1950s, over half the world's population lived within a communist government. On February 4th, 1976, a 7.5 earthquake struck just north of Guatemala City. In the first several minutes of it, it leveled over half the city. By the time it was done, the injured count was up over 700,000. On February 22nd, 1980, one of the biggest upsets occurred in not only Olympic history, but also in hockey history, when the much debated and questioned U.S. team, comprised of all college students, the only professional on the team was the coach himself, not only went up against the 4-time goal-winning champions, the Soviet Union, and won with a score of 4-3, but went on to win gold away from Finland to 4-2. On February 19, 1942, President FDR signed into action Order Number 9066, which ordered all non-legal Asian, German, and Italian citizens to be confined in Nazi-like concentration camps. However, the only difference between ours and theirs was that we did not kill. We just imprisoned. Oh, it's not really much better. But even though this was for all three, people from all three countries, it only majorly affected the Japanese citizens of the western coast. And to in fact, for those surviving to this day, it still has a traumatizing effect on them. After 5 long years of searching the deserts of Egypt, on February 16, 1923, Howard Carter, backed by Lord Carnarvon of England, finally was able to locate the final chamber of King Tut's tomb and unlock it, releasing what was commonly known as the Pharaoh's Curse, but turned out to be just some bacteria that had been alive all this time and pretty much came back to life upon the opening of it, as well as several other well-timed coincidences. On February 15, 1903, one of the most iconic and cherished childhood memories that we all have first was sold, and that was the teddy bear. The owner who first created the teddy bear had already gone to President Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt that is, and asked him if he could use his nickname as one of his toys' names, which was Teddy. He, of course, said, "Of course, why not?" And a couple months later, the toys turned up in the window of the store, which actually took the nation by storm, and several other competing companies soon latched onto the idea, and like that, the teddy bear became a household figurine. On February 11, 1990, Nelson Mandela was finally released from prison after serving 27 years behind bars for illegally trying to leave the country. That was actually the second time he was arrested. The first time was for treason against the white minority government that he was actually opposed to. However, after he got freed, he quickly became the president of South Africa and has started changes that are still evident in South Africa today. On February 19, 1847, rescuers had finally reached a stranded party that had been lost for most of the winter in the Sierra Nevada. However, when they found the Donner Party, the horrifying truth came to light that they had run out of food several months prior, and they were forced to survive by feeding off the dead bodies of the fallen comrades that they had started out with. On February 23, 1954, one of the biggest events happened in medical history, and that was the discovery and the inoculation of 23 children who were the first to carry the vaccine for the polio virus. Up until this point, the polio virus had caused mass panic throughout most of the world due to its contagious ability. However, thanks to Dr. Salk and his vaccine, kids could now be treated for the polio virus and could help save them from paralyzing in the body, such as with FDR with his legs, and even up to the paralyzing of the heart, which also happened a lot of times to many young children, resulting in the death. So, if you don't want your kids vaccinated, you may want to look into this story. Polio is nasty and it is still around. My generation and those after me are no longer affected by the polio vaccine, so we're at higher risk, as well as your children to come. Bear that in mind. 8, 1587, Mary, Queen of Scots, was beheaded for treason against the crown and for the acceptance of an assassination attempt, and for the idea of, and for the tolerance of an assassination attempt against her best friend Elizabeth I.
And cousin.
However, there is no true documented evidence that she was actually part of it, despite the 2 revolts that she tried to take part in prior, but those were due to extenuating circumstances. However, her best friend Elizabeth I and also cousins was forced to put her to death due to the outclaiming of the other royals who held sway. For even though she had a lot of power, she didn't have enough to calm the quietness of the major money holders of the country. Interesting fact is that while the execution was going on, her son watched on without any reverence or withholding of the execution. He soon took over the England, Ireland, and Scotland upon Queen Elizabeth I's death. 2003, a very, very sad day occurred. For the most people in Texas, they just saw a streak of light coming across the sky, only to find out later that the bits of debris that was falling all around them was actually from the space shuttle Columbia, and that due to a part of the outer tank breaking off and damaging the wing on liftoff, the re-entry caused it to break apart and kill everyone on board. Even to this day, only 53% of the shuttle has been found. Valentine's Day is known for lovers and time to be with those you love. However, on February 14th, 1929, it became notorious for something totally different and dark. On this day, several people of Bugsy's crew, if you don't know who that is, Bugsy Morrell, one of the biggest gangsters in Chicago, had been gunned down in a garage by 4 of Al Capone's men. They had jumped the gun and thinking that Bugsy was among them when really he had yet to come. And even though it was perpetrated by Al Capone's men, there was no evidence connecting him to them. So therefore, the FBI could not touch him until tax evasion 2 years later. And that day became known as the Valentine's Massacre. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'd like to send a special thank you to my mother for videotaping this for me, and a congratulations and a happy birthday to 2 very important people. First is my cousin, and Carissa, and the second is the younger sister of one of my best friends, Aurora. Happy birthday, you two. I hope it's very memorable for you. Thank you everyone, and I'll see you next time.